Week 7 of the NFL was nuts. Now the Bayou Bengals, they sit atop of the AFC, and a lot has changed in my power rankings. So we're going to go ahead, get into that. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy, Bro Schmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro, subscribe, leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. And as always, let me know what you think. What are your power rankings in the comment section below? Let's have that nice football discourse. But you're going to be getting position rankings for the 2022 NFL Draft. They're coming out this week. It starts Thursday. Definitely Thursday. You're going to get some the mocks. Tomorrow you're going to get Alex and I. We're going to do our predictions for this slate of NFL games for week 8. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's look at last week's power rankings. And yes, a lot has changed. Baltimore ended up losing. We had the Chiefs. They continue to plummet. The Bengals, like I said, they're moving up. The Raiders are looking pretty darn sweet. And let's just say the Panthers, they take a stumble. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to look at 25 through 32 first. And yes, you see the Panthers, they took a big plummet. Biggest plummet of the week. But Texans, Lions, the Lions, man, they went back to looking gritty yesterday. And Jared Goff's return to the Rams, his vengeance game. But yeah, they looked gritty, but they're still winless. I still feel like the Texans are a worse team. I don't know. It's kind of tough. I ended up switching the Dolphins and the Jets. I think Tua's been looking fairly promising the last couple of weeks. Not saying much, but he's looked good the last couple of weeks. Jets are going to be without Zach Wilson the next few weeks. That's so much so that they brought in Joe Flacco to come in quarterback the team. So things aren't looking good in New York for the Jets, but it is what it is. That's why I have the Dolphins moving up one spot. They've been competitive, so I'm cool with that. Jags, they didn't play this week, so I didn't move them at all. Bears, man, I feel bad for Justin Fields. The dude is getting clobbered. One thing coming into this season we knew about Justin Fields was he had all the time in the world to throw at Ohio State. He was given all the time to execute that offense, and that's just not the case. The NFL right now seems a bit too fast, but it seems a bit too fast, especially when you're not getting good play from the offensive line. He's seeing pressure quite a bit. That Tampa game, I don't think was very helping, but I do think the Bears are a better team than what we're seeing. It's just right now, this is just what the team is right now. I still think they can be competitive against probably the bottom half of the NFL, but when they get to face those elite teams, it's not pretty. Washington football team, they lost to the Packers. They only moved down a spot. Man, Tyler Heineke, he's trying to do his best Ryan Fitzpatrick impression and just yeet it to Terry McLaurin. Teams, they kind of understand that. They get that. And they're able to stop them. The defense hasn't been good as last year. Granted, last year they faced a bunch of backup quarterbacks. But the secondary, especially the safety position, I think needs a little fine-tuning. And, yeah, man, the Washington team, it's just not a good Washington team. They're probably going to get a new signal caller next year. And then, yes, the Panthers, 4 losses straight. This is not the same Sam Darnold to start the season. This is Sam Darnold doing his best. Hey, Adam Gase is my coach impression. This is a bad squad, man. This is a bad squad offensively. He's getting killed. That offensive line outside of Taylor Moton, it's just been bad. I mean, Brady Christensen yesterday got lit up by Azeez Ojulari, one of my draft darlings, by the way. I think he had almost 2.5 sacks, ton of pressures. It was just ugly. They're not able to really get anything going offensively. And you could only expect your defense to be able to stop the opposing team so much, especially when the offense is doing nothing to keep your defense from having to come on the field. But Sam Darnold, man, he's just not looking the part right now. He's not looking the part. They get CMC back in a couple weeks, but Might be a tough ride for the Panthers. On to the next bit. I got the Giants moving up 3 spots. They looked good against the Panthers. What can I say? When this team gets back healthy, do I think they're like good? Not really, but I think Daniel Jones has been doing enough. The offensive line, it's among the worst in the NFL. Like we just talked about the Panthers, I honestly think the Giants have a worse offensive line. I think they're up there with the Dolphins. It's pretty darn bad. They were down, I think, Andrew Thomas yesterday, and who is their best offensive lineman? It's just they're bad. They're bad, but they found a way to win. The defense played exceptionally well. They were able to get pressure, which has been a theme this year. Especially recently, they just haven't been able to generate a lot of pressure. And let's be honest, hey, the secondary, it's very talented. But if they're not applying pressure, you can't expect those guys to cover for too long. But to be fair, Daniel Jones, outside of like last week against, was it the Rams they got blown out by? I think so. Yeah, it was the Rams. Outside of that game, like Daniel Jones hasn't looked bad. So a bit encouraging. Eagles, they're trending down, but I'm going to keep them here for right now. A smidge ahead of the Giants. Yesterday, the secondary was just real soft. And yeah, Derek Carr had his way with him. They were like, hey, Derek Carr, he likes the deep ball. He's one of the top deep ball passers right now in the NFL. We're not going to give him deep ball. And he was like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. I used to be a check down artist. This is perfect. He ended up having like all of 3 incompletions the whole game. But the Eagles defense didn't do much of anything. And Jalen Hurts, I really wish the play calling was a bit better offensively. Really take advantage of Jalen Hurts and just the ability that he can run the football. Like they're taking deep shots. I like that. But take advantage that he can run the football. Like this run game sucks. Just does. Seahawks, they had a close game against the Saints last night. It's nice to see that they're still competitive with Geno Smith, but really, I can't see them winning games in the foreseeable future until Russ gets back. Denver Broncos, steady Teddy, it ain't doing it no more. The defense, they're banged up in the middle there with Alexander Johnson and, was it Josie Jewell? Out for the season. So much so that they traded for Kenny Young because Thursday night they got ran all over. Like this team is supposed to be, hey, defensively, good luck against us. Now, when running backs are, if they're able to get to the second level, it's trouble. It's trouble. So they're out there trying to patch up that, bringing in Kenny Young, but offensively, you just can't move the ball well enough. This is a team that they're hoping to grind you down by efficiently running the football and Teddy not making mistakes. But at some point, it's like, man, y'all got to take some shots. Falcons. This is mainly, I move them up this much because offensively, I just think they're better than the other teams behind them. Mainly because Matt Ryan's playing good football. Kyle Pitts is starting to be utilized more as a mismatch nightmare. I like that. And it's really helped the team offensively. Defensively, it's still kind of a mess. Mainly, the pass rush, non-existent. But I think this team is good enough to win a couple of shootouts against all the teams behind them. San Francisco 49ers, they lost a close one against the Colts in very messy circumstances. But, you know, Jimmy G, he ain't really going to be doing nothing for this offense. Like, he can effectively run the offense, but that's about it. They're putting a lot of stress on that defense. That's kind of... the defense is all right. The defense is all right. It's not the defense of Niners past. But the secondary, they're a little beat up, but they're playing good football. When not getting burnt by Michael Pittman. But yeah, man, it was a rough night, wet, rainy night there in what is it? Where do they play? Santa Carla or something like that. But yeah, just offensively, they can't really, if they can't run the ball efficiently, you can't expect to put it on Jimmy G's shoulders. And Trey Lance, man, he still needs a little more cooking in the oven. Steelers, they didn't play this week, so I didn't move them. There you go. We got the Colts, man, moving up 4 spots. They're hitting their stride. Big game this week against Tennessee. big game. Carson Wentz, I know, is like, oh, he's looking like the Carson Wentz we've known recently. This past game, it was raining, it was crazy. Yeah, he went on a stretch where he was just throwing bad passes. The ball was slipping from his hands. But I'm gonna go with the Carson Wentz we've seen for a majority of the year. Because, I mean, the circumstances, they weren't ideal. Jonathan Taylor, man, he's a monster. This offensive line's getting healthy. They looked good offensively. Michael Pittman is becoming a much better receiver. He's become more utilized in the offense. T.Y. Hilton, hopefully he's able to come back in the next couple of weeks. Just add in more playmakers to that receiving core. Like, keep in mind, that San Fran game could have been more out of reach if not for Nyheim Hines' drop. Again, wet circumstances. And the defense stepped up and played. I don't know if they can do that consistently because the defense, they feel like a bit of overachievers in some parts, but outside of like Buckner, Leonard, even Xavier Rhodes, it felt like he was really stepping up his play from this season. He was kind of banged up yesterday or Sunday night. There we go. Even Bobby, it's not Okereke. I forgot. He changed how his last name is pronounced. Golly, man, I can't remember. But even he played a really good game Sunday night. So, the top half of the NFL. Who do I got? Well, starting at 16, the New England Patriots. They're not asking Mac Jones to do a lot, which is fine, but at some point he is going to need they're going to need to rely on him a bit more and let him kind of like sling the football. Like he's not going to a guy that's going to make a lot of big plays, but he's going to be able to efficiently put it in the hands of your playmakers and allow them to make big plays. They can't really lean on the running game consistently. The offensive line, one of the best in the NFL when healthy. Michael Onwenu was one of my draft darlings coming out in 2020. He's playing great football. But, yeah, I mean, they have the luxury of being able to lean on the run game. I don't think that's something that's not something against the better half of the NFL. You can't just rely on that solely, so they need it'd be nice to see Mac Jones come out and win a game like himself. Like, have to, because we've seen them in like close games against like the Bucks, the Cowboys, and Mac Jones, like, what happens? Nothing good. But he's playing great football, so yeah, man, I'm excited. I think this is a good Patriots team. Minnesota, I believe they had the week off. Yeah, so I move them up a spot just because the Panthers just crap the bed. Saints, they're staying steady here. Yeah, I mean, was that win against the Seahawks impressive? I don't think so. Chiefs, I still think they're a good team. I think 13 is the right spot. Can this offense turn it around? Because I know the defense can't. It's the worst in the NFL. It's a terrible defense. They're not stopping anybody, which means they need the offense to really step up, man. Like, Patrick Mahomes, man, he needs to play better. Like, it's just inside structure, man. It just feels like he's taken on like the weight of this team, the burden of the defense, and coming in there just like, all right, man, we got to be ready for a shootout. And he's trying to make these college plays, these NFL street plays. It's just like, nah, dude, just efficiently run this offense. I think it's becoming very apparent that the wide receiver, I guess you would say two spot, because McCole Hardman's more of their slot. It's not good. Robinson's not great. Pringle's good depth, but that's about it. But to be fair, like, this offense is still really good. It's better than what we saw this past Sunday. So I'm going to keep them here at 13. Browns, they got to win without Baker. Good for them, but Baker returns. How's he going to look? Because, I mean, his play hasn't been extraordinary this year anyway. But even if he ends up gutting it out for the rest of the season, I mean, how much does this offense really need him to step up? Outside of games like, the Chargers, like, this team likes to control. They got a great defense, and they have a grindy type of offense where they'll run the ball down your throats. It doesn't matter who's getting the the workload back there. But I think they're a good enough team. I just feel like they're just outside of like the elite of the elite, you know. And then the Baltimore Ravens, tough loss this week against the Bengals, man. Woof. The Bengals came into your home yard and just whomped you. Like, that offense is so impressive. Like, the defense, like, for the Ravens, keep in mind, this is a team very beat up. They're missing a lot of key pieces. Ronnie Stanley just going down a week and a half ago or so. They're missing a lot of key pieces, but I think this is still a very good team, and they have one of the scariest playmakers there at quarterback in Lamar Jackson. So I expect them to be still very competitive. The Las Vegas Raiders, I'm going to give them their due, man. Derek Carr is playing probably the best football of his life, in my opinion. The defense has been great this year. I love it. But I'm loving it. They were finally able to efficiently run the football. But I think part of that is because the Eagles defense played very off. You know, so they were letting them get a lot of easy 4, 5, 6 yard pickups. But this Raiders team, man, I trust in Derek Carr, man. They're good. They've really only had one bad game this season, and it was against the Bears when all that Gruden stuff got put out. So, yeah, even their loss against the Chargers, they started the game real slow, but they really made that competitive, and the Chargers are a hell of a football team. Tennessee Titans, they moving on up. Still worried about some injuries at the cornerback spot, but that defense looked really good. Like, even Bud Dupree was getting it on the action, and if you ain't new to the channel, you know I'm not a big Bud Dupree lover. But Harold Landry is playing great football. Offensively, Derrick Henry, man, is about all you need, right? But no, like, Ryan Tannehill efficiently runs this offense very well. He has been a big catalyst to making this team like legit Super Bowl contenders, in my opinion. A.J. Brown, he came out, balled out, best game of the season. I guess he got all that crap out of his system. Thank you, Chipotle. Top 8, man. We're going to start off with the Bengals, man. They keep moving up. They have by far been the team that has risen the furthest since I've started this series. I think I started it after week 1. But the Bengals have been one of the hottest teams in football. Offensively, they're a lot to handle, and this defense is overperforming. Listen, I was a big critic of the defensive coordinator Lou and his defense, but this year, man, it seems like he has finally assembled the parts that he wants for this defense, and they're playing well. Wouzier is playing great football. That front seven is playing great football. Bates is one of the best safeties in the league. This is a good squad. This is a good squad. Joe Burrow is playing great football. Man, good on you. And honestly, for the remainder of the list, it's a lot of teams that just I kept where they were at. Rams, they got a win. Wasn't impressive. Not really. Didn't feel like they needed to move up. Chargers had the week off. Bills had the week off, and the Cowboys had the week off. Bills had the week off, right? Yeah, I don't remember them playing. But I moved the Packers up 5 spots. They only got 1 loss on the season, and it was when it seemed like the whole team was asleep. Week 1 against the Saints. So, yeah, they probably deserve to be up here in the top 5. So, I feel like this is just where they should be. And with the Ravens getting belted by the Bengals, it was about the right time to move the Packers into that spot. Bucks looked great. Cardinals looked great. Cardinals, big test this week. Thursday Night Football, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Got Packers, Cardinals. It's going to be a banger. Maybe we'll have a watch along, man. I kind of feel like having a Thursday night watch along. Haven't had one in a while. But that's it for the video. Let me know who are your rankings this week. Who are the hot teams in the NFL? Did I get this right finally? Because I know people hate my power rankings. What can I say, man? It's just my opinion, man. I'm just trying to rationalize what I think. Is it right? Could be. I think some things are right. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.